The Ministry of Health has announced that thousands of Grenadians were affected by an outbreak of gastroenteritis, commonly known as gastro. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sean Charles says the outbreak has affected over 3,000 people of all age groups between January to present, which is much more than the 70 cases recorded in 2022 for the same period.
Grenada is experiencing an outbreak of acute gastroenteritis. Now, this condition is characterized by nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramps, and watery diarrhea. Some individuals may have fever and muscle pain, and the symptoms generally last between 1 to 3 days. Now, this increase in cases were noticed about 3 weeks ago, and in the last 3 weeks, a total of 345 cases were reported.
Most of the cases recorded this year are persons between the ages of 1 to 4 and 25 to 40 years. The parishes of St. Andrew, St. George, and Carriacou and Petite Martinique are mostly affected, with the highest number of cases recorded in St. George. While many of the gastro cases are mild, it can cause serious dehydration and death in persons who have underlying conditions. The CMO spoke of how this virus is transmitted and how people can fight the illness.
Now, this disease is transmitted via what we call the fecal-oral route through the consumption of food and water that is contaminated with viruses and bacteria. It is also transmitted when unclean or contaminated hands or objects touch the mouth. Now, treatment includes consuming fluids such as oral rehydration salts to replace what is lost through vomiting and diarrhea. Drinking water only is not sufficient in most instances because other substances are lost in stools and vomit.
Acute respiratory cases are also on the increase. There too, most of the cases are within the ages of 1 to 4 and 25 to 40.
We would also like to report to the public or to inform the public that high numbers of cases of acute respiratory infection were reported in Grenada since the start of the year. So far, we have seen 3,280 cases of acute respiratory infections being reported, and this is compared to the long-term average of 2,354. During the same period in the year 2022, only 1,228 cases were reported.
People are being asked to visit their family doctor once symptoms are severe and ensure that they follow all the medical advice. For GBN News, Janelle MacDonald.